Hey guys, welcome to this session by Intellipaat. Software development and software engineering has played a key role in solving a variety of problems for us right from the start of the 21st century, right? So when you think about it, software development is something that is in need today. So in this session, we're going to check out the most structured way on how you guys can begin to work your way to becoming expert software engineers. Well, guys, before we begin with this session, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so that you never miss any updates from us. So, here's the agenda for today. We'll start out by taking a quick introduction to what software engineering is, after which we can understand where it is used and why it is required as well. After knowing this, we can understand the requirements that are expected of a good software engineer, and later we'll work on a detailed step by step guide through which you guys can work on your way to become expert software engineers. Well, at the end of it, we're going to discuss the career paths and, of course, the average salary of software developers across a variety of domains as well, and a lot more in this session. So, without further ado, let's get started with the class.
So, coming to the first point on the agenda, let's start with a quick did you know? Well, did you actually know that 1 in 3 developers or software engineers actually write their first piece of code even before they finish high school? Well, how cool is this, right? Well, this doesn't mean that if you haven't written a piece of code that you will not become a software engineer. But then this is a very interesting fact to check out because it shows the dedication, it shows the interest, and it shows the passion that powers this entire field of software engineering, right? And here's another fact. Software engineers actually spend more time learning new things than any other professionals in the world of IT. Well, how cool is this? You might say, hey, artificial intelligence is bigger, big data is bigger, data science is bigger. Correct, I will agree. They are bigger, they might require a little more effort to work on, but at the end of the day, learning new things, building upon these new things, and implementing them is done by software engineers, right? So these guys are the people, who know how to get things done right from incubation all the way to, product. So when you think about that, what is software engineering? What is software development that we talk about always? So, software engineering is a term which there is a very good chance that you have been brought up with. There's a good chance you have a software engineering friend, a colleague, a senior. There is a software engineer around you. There's a common saying, in Silicon Valley, where if you throw a stone, it's gonna hit a software engineer. Well, even though as funny as it is, there is a good requirement for software engineers across the globe. So what they do actually is they create structured process where they're analyzing user requirements and they're using these requirements to give them a solution. They'll design a solution, they'll eventually build it, test it to see if it's working. For example, a software application, or in fact it can be a web application as well, to make sure at the end of the day that there is a solution to the problem that someone's looking for, right? See, the user requirement starts with a particular problem, and a software engineer's role is to either provide an application or provide a solution to that problem using his or her skill set, right? So that's everything about what software engineering's core principle is. Now, for you guys to learn how to become a software engineer, you need to understand that there are certain requirements that you have to meet. The first requirement, when we think about it, is a college degree, right? So we get this question a lot. How important is a college degree to become a software engineer? Well, let me just state out the companies on your screen. We have IBM, we have Google, we have Bank of America, we have Hilton, we have Tesla, we have Apple, and we have hundreds of other companies. These companies on your screen itself are worth trillions of dollars, right? These guys are the big guns. Now, there are hundreds of others who say we really do not require a computer science degree, but then they require that you have the skills, you have the right mindset, and you have the experience or at least the passion towards software engineering. So when you think about it, there was a time when you had to have a college degree on your resume or else you would not get a job. The world is changing as we speak, and it really is not the case anymore. If you have skills, if you are trained, if you are certified, you are well and good enough, even though you might not have degrees. So I'm sure you viewers at this point of time who had the question saying, will I compulsorily need a degree? I hope this slide actually answers that. So coming on to more requirements about what it takes to become a software engineer, right? So a software engineer needs to have skills in terms of data structures, working with algorithms, and much more. Because data structures and algorithms form to be one of the key parts of a software engineer's role, and in the upcoming slides you'll understand why as well. And of course, a programming language is definitely required, but then a proficient software engineer will be an expert in more than one programming language. Well, if you're not an expert in a programming language at this point of time, do not worry, because an expertly curated certification training program can help you become proficient in more than one programming language, and all you have to do is put in the right amount of time and effort. Now, another very important requirement is that you have to have the capability to keep yourself up to date with the latest design approaches if you want to become a software engineer. Software engineering is all about using the latest trends, the latest tools, the latest techniques, and whatnot, right? So to make use of everything, you need to pace yourself in a way that you are in touch with what's going on, what happened, and what will happen as well, because this forms to be the key part of a software engineer's requirement. And it's just not that. Software engineer is required to have the knowledge on how to work on a software pipeline as well. See, I told you that software engineers take up a problem and give you a solution, right? It's simple as that. But then you need to understand that there is a problem, find the problem, define it, perform some analysis on it, provide a solution, verify if the solution is working, and then deliver it to the client. So understanding this, going from just a problem to a solution, takes a lot of time and effort, right? So you need to have the capability to follow through, and then you need to have the ability to scale up to standards as well. Whenever we talk about software engineering, there are many practices, many methodologies that we follow as standard methodologies where we use them to scale up something from a very small entity to a huge or a complete product. In that particular case, you need to have the ability to learn, you need to have the ability to follow these protocols, these standards, and then build upon it. And lastly, you need to have the capability to provide testing lifecycle policies as well. See, your product is as good as the number of times you test it, is something that I believe in, because at the end of the day, you can have the most perfect product out there, but then if it doesn't function in the scenario that it is supposed to perform in, then it really is a waste of time, right? So the more you test the product, the more policies you put in for your testing cycles, the more procedures you use to test your application, the better, in my opinion. So you need to have the capability to devise these methodologies and procedures for the testing life cycle as well. So with understanding the requirements, you will have a question saying, okay, why software engineering? There are many answers to these questions. Salary trends, yes, we're going to discuss that. Is it a top job? Yes, a software engineer's role is one among the top careers of this decade, and definitely going to be one among the next one as well. But then let's take a side step here. See, one thing you have to know, in case you're not aware, is that companies are willing to spend billions of dollars every single year to either create beautiful looking applications or to provide out solution as a service, or basically they are ready to put in money to create new applications and to have proficient software engineers on board. So understand that there is money, there is a requirement, and you can fill into these requirements and make a good chunk of money as well. The second point talks about being a top career path, as I just mentioned, right? See, we can sidestep and talk about multiple points out there, but at the end of the day, it is a top career path. It's trending right now, and it's been trending ever since the launch of the internet. Let's be honest, right? So when you think about it, it is a good time that you guys jump on software engineering, work on your careers, and definitely build upon it. And then talking about the industry demand. See, there is a huge difference between a good software engineer and a great one, and there are so many things that tend to slip the gap whenever we talk about good and great. But then here you have to understand that there is such a huge demand. Sometimes even the goods become the greats, or let's say the greats can also become good due to the demand. due to the amount of skill it takes to actually go on to work. But then do not be but then do not look at it that way, right? So there is a demand you can be put into place here to supply, and here you're the product that's being supplied as a proficient certified software engineer. So through this, you can actually work on helping solve problems across the globe. Any IT concept that you talk about, right? Think about anything. Think about software engineering, think about data science, think about medicine as well. All of these exist because there are certain problems that we are looking to provide a solution for. Here, it's pretty simple as well. There are requirements for softwares, or there are certain user requirements that have to be met. You, as a software engineer, is going to be put into place. You'll be working alone or in a team. There's a good chance, 99.9%, it's a team, and you will have to, solve these problems. So there is a demand. Make sure you supply for it. So, coming to the steps on how you can actually become a software engineer, let's talk about the first step. It's about career goal. See, one very important thing about you guys, freshers, college graduates, youngsters, and people in college still, whoever is looking to make a career out of software engineering, it is very vital that you put in a good chunk of time to understand where you want to go. Because having a clear roadmap of where you have to go is definitely the most helpful thing, not just in software engineering, but in your life as well, in your career. So make sure you have a clear roadmap. And if you're in this video, there is a very good chance that you are looking towards software engineering as well, right? So, think about these 3 points and see if you can relate to it. The first point is I have an inclination to solve problems by building applications. That's right. So you need to have this drive, you need to have this passion to solve the problems that arise, and you might have the skills to do it in a very simple way or a very different way, and out of box thinking from someone else or anybody else out there. So if that is the case, you will be a good fit. If that is not the case, it doesn't mean you won't be a good fit. But check out the second point. I want to work on my favorite piece of application on an XYZ company. Every one of us, let's say when we were younger, we had a passion, we had a goal, to do something when we became, big, right? So when we grew old. So it was either to work at a dream company, I don't know. When you think about it, there was Yahoo, there was Google, there was many other companies such as IBM and much more when we were growing up, where we had an aim to either work at them, an aim to work for them, or something better. So if your inclination is to create and work on a piece of application at your dream company, then you should consider this role. And then of course, I want to have a top career role, I want to do the best that I do. Well, that's definitely yes, because this is the top career role that we are discussing about. And if you are good at what you do, then definitely you can outshine your competitions in the world of software engineering. The next point that we're going to discuss about is programming languages. Well, programming languages are required, but then complete focus on it is not. I'll tell you why. It's always good to be proficient in one or more programming languages at the end of the day. For example, you have Java, you have Python, you have C Sharp, which is a beautiful language in terms of software engineering. We have JavaScript, and we have many other programming languages. One thing you have to know is that in a software engineering career, there is a very good chance you can be a part of either documenting the problem, or one part of analysis, one part of testing, or the person who actually develops the application. So based on your role, based on what you like doing, this point will actually differ. If you are into hardcore programming, if you really like building something from scratch without having dependencies, or knowing that your solution is actually the one that works, then definitely you should work on knowing a programming language. Python is of course the top programming language that we have today, and we have the big guns. Java has been there, C Sharp is amazing, and JavaScript too. So when you think about it, point number 2 is something you should actually think about as well. Point number 3 is about data structures and algorithms. There is a very good chance, if you guys are freshers, if you guys are looking out for jobs, that you have been to a software engineering interview, right? So think about this. Every time the interview gets tricky, it's always a data structures questions or an algorithms question, which might confuse you even though you're very good at it, right? So exactly that, a software engineer needs to be proficient in data structures and using algorithms to their fullest. You can use algorithms to solve problems, of course, but then can you use algorithms to their fullest, to a point where your solution is the most efficient solution out there? That's the question you're supposed to ask yourself. One thing is that whenever you talk about data structures and algorithm, it is very important that you have very good theoretical knowledge on it. After you have some theoretical knowledge, that's not the end of it. Start writing pseudocode. Start writing code in English language if you want to. Start writing down the logic, and then convert this logic by applying some sort of innovation on it. See, this innovation part can come from the previous step, which is the programming language. So pick up a programming language of your choice and convert the pseudocode into an actual program or an actual application itself. And after you have this, try to implement it. Now you have a bare bones application that works. Now you have a bare bones application that will actually solve a certain problem out there using data structures or algorithms, right? Again, even DS and algorithms are put into place to solve problems. Well, use it to solve the problems. That's the intention out here. And of course, at the end of it, equal emphasis on testing. A software engineer's role is divided 50-50 in my opinion into software development and software testing as well, because at the end of the day, whatever software you build or whatever you engineer at the end of the day, if it's not tested and not functioning as it's supposed to, it really doesn't make sense, right? So think about that for a second. So with this, we can come to point number 4, where we're talking about certification programs. See, a certification program is a stamp of excellence, because when you think about it, if you do not have a college degree, or if you do have a college degree but in a different domain, a certification program is something that you can use to become proficient and become experts in particular domains as well. So it's a stamp of excellence because it shows to the interviewer that you have put in the time, you've put in the effort, and you have actually gone measures, and you've actually taken measures to become an expert in a topic, and that is very valuable to a company. And then it'll get you hired, of course, because at the end of the day, showcase the projects that you have done on your resume. Tell the interviewer that this was the problem, this is how I've solved the problem. That's what they like to hear. And with a certification program, a good certification program nonetheless will cover industry level projects. With that, you can of course have all 4 points as your leverage as well. A non-certified expert, even though the person might have a good amount of skills, might get a small increase in pay compared to their current job or career role or whatever. If you are certified, it is a guarantee to the company that there is a very good chance that you are better at what you do than a person who's not certified. It doesn't have to be this case all the time, but then there is a good majority that this is how it is. So in that particular case, you will get a bigger raise in salary as well. So if you're starting out your career, there's a good chance you guys are freshers, college students, graduates, whatnot. This point is something that that should attract you, or you should think about this a lot. And then there are certain corporate requirements, right? So when you think about it, to become an expert in many things, a certification program can assist you a lot. It can push you to the last mile. But there are certain examinations that you might have to take up. You have the AWS examinations, for example. You have the examinations for a lot of Google Analytics stuff. You have examinations for a lot of Microsoft requirements and much more. So if your dream company that you're applying for says, hey, I want you to have cleared this examination before applying, then a certification program will get you to the last mile, where you can actually sit, use these resources, work on your examinations, clear it, and land that dream job. So point number 4, I don't think I really have to stress this much, and you guys will know the value that a certification program adds to your career. With this, point number 5 is something which is very important that we have to talk about. It's software development community. Even though you're starting out, or you might have already started out and you're on this video, guys, it is very, very important that you associate with like-minded people, with experts, and with people in the same field as you. So there are communities across the globe. In fact, we have Intellipaat community as well. So make sure after this video you check out Intellipaat community. Talk to experts, talk to people who are doing the same things as you, talk to other learners, right? So when you do all of this, you will get a good idea idea of where you are, where you're supposed to go, what you have done, and what your inclination is. Step 5 can take you throwback to the first step where you're assessing your goals again. You can come until step 5 where you're associating with experts, and then you realize, yes, this is something that I want to do. So that there can be that light bulb moment here as well. So to do this, you can check out a variety of documentation on the application that you like to build. There are many GitHub repositories. There are many open source projects across the world, no matter what concept you're looking at. So have a look at them. Have a look at the code. See if you can do anything. Try to see if you can build something on your own, either to replicate a product that already exists or to replicate a product and do it better. That is important. So GitHub repositories and documentations are definitely something you guys should check out and you should work on. And in case if you haven't, please do begin working on that. And then when we think about the ability to solve problems practically, right, this is very important. You can be a person who has the ability to actually, state out a solution. You can be the person with the most theoretical knowledge there is in this field. But then if you cannot put it down practically, it really will not help. So start like this. Think big, but you have to start small. Find a problem around you. See, you can think of multiple problems around you because here's another fact. Think about the startup companies out there. Everyone has picked up a problem and everyone is working on a solution to do it the best, right? So you can never run out of problems in today's world. So find a simple problem and see how you can work on building a solution on that. Because after you've started working on it, after you realize that that you can provide a solution, then build it, verify it, talk to experts to see if it works or not. If it works, if your solution is very good, and if you actually solve the problem, scale it up. There is a very good chance, right? So all the companies that we have, in fact even the social media companies out there, they came out because there was a problem and they provided a solution for it. So there are many stories about how each of these social media sites came out, but then that's definitely something that you really need to check out in case if you did not know as well. It starts with a small idea by one person or a group of people. There is a very good chance they didn't think that they would grow that big, right? So Apple, the entire company, was started in a garage by Steve Jobs. Today they're worth trillions of dollars. So that is exactly what happens when you take theoretical knowledge and use equal or more amounts of practical experience to that as well. So when you think about this, this point is very important, guys. Think big, but start small. Start right now. And after understanding that, the next point you really need to check out is interview preparation. One thing about a software engineer's resume that has to be very impressive is the key skills that you have. There is a majority of cases where you've either screened a software engineer's role or you have submitted a resume where you might be rejected in the first round. See, all of this happens if the things that you've put in on your resume are not unique. There are hundreds of thousands of software engineers coming out. As I told you, all of these guys can be good, but then you really have to go one extra mile to become great. To do that, you have to showcase your key skills, your unique abilities on your resume. So you need to have an attractive resume. And as I always say, for a software developer or a software engineer, your GitHub should be your resume, because that is where you practically put all your work, and that is where you show to the world saying, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do, and I do it to the best of my abilities. So your GitHub really is very important. It is just not GitHub, your online presence in general, because this is where you can leverage a very good job. In fact, as a fresher, let's say you've solved 3 or 4 problems, and you're very active on social media, you're very active in places, LinkedIn for example, or any other sites, communities, people will notice. And if they think that you are a right fit to solve their problems, you can very well get into the top companies out there in today's world and be handsomely paid even before you start your career in the form of an internship, or many other things as well. So guys, make sure you get on the web, make sure you present yourself to the world, no matter how small your project is doing. Every big idea has a small start. Keep thinking about that point. And then first impressions. See, when you're at an interview, it is very vital that you put yourself across very professionally, because there is a very good chance first impression becomes the best impression. right? Along with key skills, along with an amazing resume, along with a beautiful GitHub profile, your online presence, your actual impression, your skills in terms of people management skills, or let's say your skills to portray yourself, to present yourself is equally important, guys. For a software engineer's role, you can of course check out a lot of interview questions content as well. We ourselves have a lot of interview questions videos, so just head over to our YouTube channel in a new tab or something, or after this video just search for interview questions on our channel. You will find multiple concepts created by experts, right? So at this point of time, it is very vital that you keep your preparation up. You really need to be focused on it. You really need to be ahead of your competition. If you're on par with your competition, well, that's good enough. But then if you're ahead of your competition, hey, you win. It's as simple as that. So make sure you put in a good amount of time and effort into solving problems and building, let's say, your GitHub profile. And after this, as freshers and graduates, you guys are curious. So what do I do after I get a job? Does it end there now that I'm a software engineer? The answer is no. I'll tell you why. Even though you've landed a beautiful job, your dream job, you're being paid really well, you have an amazing team to work with, you're building a product that's helping the world in a big way. Here is where you come into the picture again. See, software is something that changes day in and day out. Today's most flagship software is tomorrow's obsolete. So in that particular case, things are evolving at a lightning strike pace, especially in the field of computing, especially in the field of software engineering and development. So you need to have the ability to scale yourself up. You need to have the capability to learn new things, learn the latest practices, understand what's trending in the field, see what methodologies your competitors are using, see where you can leverage the most out of your job, and to be as efficient as you can to develop and devise a solution that is so unique, that is so creative, that it stands out as the best solution to a problem, right? So best is definitely subjective, but at the end of the day, if you are in touch with these latest practices and trends, you are going to go a long way in your career as a software engineer, guys. So with this, I'm sure you will have a quick question on, hey, okay, that's really good, but then what do we know about career growth? This is where a simplified slide was definitely something that I prefer. See, a software engineer's role can span out into hundreds of roles where it becomes really confusing for you guys. But as beginners, my job is not to overwhelm you here. See, you will begin your role as a software engineer. You can begin as an intern itself, after which, after 1 or 2 years of experience or 3 or 4 years of experience, you'll become a lead software developer, where you have the capability to lead a team, work with the team completely, lead them from the start, and build a complete application on your own in a production environment. After this, let's say you have 10 years of experience now, you become a principal software engineer. A principal software engineer is a person who knows his software in and out. This person has the capability to see the past performances of the product, analyze what's happening in the present, and predict how the software will move towards the future as well. So moving yourselves from the beginner's role of a software engineer, hey, mind you, the pay is really well there too, as you'll see in the next slide. But then from moving there to becoming a leading a team to solve a problem, and then being the guy in the company who knows a lot about the software that goes on, because information, knowledge is wealth, right? So if you know what you're doing and if you're good at it, there are people across the globe who are willing to pay you the amount you want for you to solve their problems as well. So when we have to talk about the best practices that are put into place when we think about software engineering, it's 4 important points. One thing, you have to equally benefit clients and your employer, right? See, a client comes to you or your employer with a problem and you devise a solution to them. So here is where you need to benefit both of them. First, keeping the client happy by taking all the requirements and making sure the application works, good support, good testing protocols, good product set. And you need to make a good amount of money to your employer in the process as well, right? So you might have a financial team, you might have a business analysis team sitting in place there to actually, go on to to put in some finance restrictions out there, whatever it is, you need to make the best out of it to make sure you benefit both the client and the employer at the end of the day. And then the second point is highest standards, guys. There is a reason why the big companies become big companies, right? So they have certain standards, they have certain rules, they have certain good things in them, certain good qualities, certain standards in them that make them what they are. Be it quality, be it performance, be it efficiency, whatever it is. So you need to have the ability to scale yourself up to these standards and use them day in and day out. It's not something you learn today, use it for 5 years and forget it. It's not how it works. Once you learn it, it's going to start guiding your career, and that's a really beautiful thing. Trust me on this. And then when you think about ethical development approach, this is definitely something you should put a good amount of time thinking about. At the end of the day, for every good, there is an equal amount or probably a little less amount of bad out there in the world. To keep things ethical, right? In terms of humane things, in terms of your problem, you really have to be careful. Anything in today's world can be used for good or bad. So you need to align yourself to make sure you keep your development approaches ethical. There are a lot of cases where people actually start copying things from others and straight up putting it out there, and that's not really ethical, right? So even though the start might seem slow, please do not take the alternate approach into moving on to something that's unethical. Keep your ethical practices, keep your principles, work on it. At the end of the day, all the good that you do will come back to you, and in the field of software engineering, this works beautifully. You will see as soon as you begin your career. And then the last point we have to talk about is how you have to be a team player. If you're working in a startup, there is a good chance you might be the only guy providing the solution. You might have a team of 5, you might have a team of 10. In a very, very big company where there are thousands of employees, there's a very good chance there's more than one software engineer, right? There could be hundreds, there could be thousands. In that particular case, you have to be a team player to equally appreciate, lead, and work with a team, to make sure you all have the common goal out there to create the best software there is. So to do it, you need to be a team player, and this is one of the practices that you will have to have, guys. So if you say, you know what, I am the best software developer out there, a software engineer, I work alone and I cannot work with a team, in that case, software engineer's career will be a little tough for you guys. Yes, there has been cases of success where there's only one person who has built up an entire thing, and while scaling it up, they've had people. You can do that, but at the end of the day, these people's skills will matter a lot. So always keep that at the back of your mind. And then coming to the most important point where we talk about the average salary of a software engineer, right? See, a software engineer's salary is something that's amazing. It's this number that keeps going up every single year because every year there is a requirement for these many software engineers, and this number is blowing out of proportion. The world needs expert software engineers out there, and they are ready to pay. In the US, the average salary of software engineer is somewhere around $118,000 per annum. In India, it's 11 lakhs per annum. In the United Kingdom, it's somewhere around 68,000 pounds. And this number keeps going up. See, there will never come a time where people will say we do not require software engineers or software developers. The answer is absolutely no. Every company out there needs a software either as a product, they need it either as a service, they need a web application, they need a native application. So they need something to work with. A software engineer's role will fit perfectly in all of these cases where there is a problem, they need a solution. And I know by now you have the complete picture, of how to go about it. The salary trends are amazing. It's a top career to have, and this is definitely something that you guys should be considering as a career role, considering all the points that we've discussed. So here are my final thoughts about software engineering, right? So the purpose of software engineering is to control complexity and not create it. Things get very complex in this field, not just in this field, any field out there, right? So this is a beautiful quote by Pamela Zave, who says the purpose of software engineering is to control the complexity rather than creating it. So instead of creating and making things complex, keep it simple, control it, provide the best solution out there. Strive for the best is what I can tell, as my final thought for this particular slide, guys. Each and every one of you, regardless of you having a degree or not, regardless of you knowing a programming language right now or not, whatever it is, if you put in the right amount of time, if you put in the right amount of structured learning and efforts, all of you, right? So you guys can become experts who will, lead the industry in one point of time or the other. This is a trending job. This is the right time for you guys to jump on the trend, become software engineers, become good software developers, and provide amazing solutions to problems out there, guys. So with this, you have come to the end of this session.
We hope this session was very informative for you all. If you have any comments, any questions, or any suggestions, make sure to head down to the comment section and do let us know. We'll be more than happy to help you out there. With this, I wish you have a good day and I'll see you on the next one.